It's time to chat reading goals. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Melissa, and today we're talking about my 2025 reading goals and if I achieved them and if I failed them, and then what my 2026 reading goals are for the year. Starting off strong, let's review what my 2025 goals were. First up was to read 3 nonfiction books, and I read 0. So this first goal was a complete fail. I did attempt to read The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I got like 2 chapters in and I just couldn't do it. So this one was a fail. I'm very not happy. I'm very sad to report that it was a fail. Hopefully next year I can read more nonfiction. I just have such a hard time getting into them. So if you have nonfiction recommendations that are very entertaining, please comment them down below because I really need some nonfiction recommendations. Next was to donate books at least once a month, and I'm very happy to report that I did do this. I donated probably over 200 books to local little free libraries. It's my favorite thing to do. It brings me so much joy to see all of these little free libraries filled to the brim. And then I love when you guys message me telling me that you got one of the books that I dropped off. It makes me so happy. So I'm very happy that I was able to consistently do this throughout the year, and I absolutely will be doing it again next year. Next was to read more consistently. In 2024, I really struggled with reading, and I kind of feel like that came through in my content as well. I wasn't reading as consistently, so I didn't have as many books to talk about, which is what my whole account is. So it just it was a meh year. So this year I wanted to read more consistently and really find that joy for reading again, which I'm very happy to report that I did do that. I read a lot of really great books this year. And yes, there were some periods where I read less than other weeks and other months, but I'm happy to report that I did read consistently throughout the year, maybe except for September. September, I don't know. I was not having it. It was a bad reading month. I think I only read one book and I DNF'd another. So all the other 11 months of the year was good reading months. So yeah, I read a lot more consistently. I found a lot more joy for reading. I kind of fell back in love with it a little bit this year. So very happy with that one. Next was to read more books that are on my bookshelf. So I always find myself reading new releases or books that have been recently sent to me. And then the books that have been on my bookshelf just sit there for years and years and years. So this year I started a fun series where I would literally post a photo of my bookshelf and say, please recommend a book for me to read. And if I pick the book that you selected, I'll send you a book. So I did that a few times and it actually got me to read a lot of books off of my bookshelf. I ended up reading 15 books that have been on my bookshelf for years. And so that was a very great way to get me to read more books that have been on my TBR for a long time. And it felt very just rewarding and nice to actually be picking a book off my shelf that has been there for so long and finishing it instead of just grabbing a book that's in a pile that came out last week. So, very happy about that. And I absolutely will continue to do this next year because these books got to get read. Next was to not be afraid to DNF books. I don't like DNFing books typically because you never know what's going to come at the middle or the end. You might just be in a boring period of the book. But this year there were 2 books that I was just really struggling through, and I decided not to continue them. They might be for other people. I mean, I know some of them are definitely for other people, but it just wasn't for me. So I did DNF 2 books. I don't know if I'll continue this next year. I think it's kind of just a good thing to know in the back of my mind. Like, if I'm not enjoying it, I do not need to read it. But I don't think I'll make it a goal for next year because maybe I am just loving all the books and then I don't DNF anything. So we'll see. But I did DNF 2 books, but overall I had a great reading year, so I didn't have to DNF anything else. Next was to read more fantasy books. This one, I don't know if I passed or if I failed. So I did read 2 fantasy books. One was the 3rd book in the Fourth Wing series. So I don't know if I count that. Like, yes, it is fantasy, but it's an insanely popular series. So obviously I was going to read it. Like, I didn't pick it up because it was a fantasy book that I was just interested in on my own. I mean, I was interested in it, but I was also interested in it because it's insanely popular. So that one, I don't know if I count. But I did read a indie fantasy book called Beyond the Cobbled Road. I'll put the photo here. I can't remember exactly the title. By an indie author. It was great. I really, really enjoyed it. And so that obviously I do count because it's not something that was recommended to me a ton. I picked that up on my own, full of fantasy book. So I feel like I get like a 0.5 here because really it was only one fantasy book. I feel like to get like a full pass, I needed 2, even though yes, I did read 2, but like the one I don't count. I don't know. Let me know if you think it's a pass or a fail. I feel like I can't really count the Fourth Wing book because like that was going to be read regardless. So I don't know. This is a half point. We'll see. You let me know what you think. The last goal was to read 30 books this year, which has been my reading goal for the past 5 or so years now. Very happy to report that I did hit my reading goal. I actually hit it back in August. And I will say, in August, I think I read 10 books, which is insane. I was at the cottage and I literally read all day, every day. So that's the only reason I read that many books. So I can thank August for helping me hit my reading goal because if it weren't for that month, I wouldn't have passed it so soon. I believe I'm at 43 books now. That's a bit high. I can't remember. I'll have to double check. I'll put it on screen. Maybe it's 43. Or maybe it's 34. No. I think it's 43. I don't know. We'll put it on the screen and see, but I did pass it and I'm very happy about that. Like I said, this was a really great reading year for me. Last year, I think I only read 29 books. I prioritized reading a lot more this year. During my commute, I made sure I was reading. During different times in my evening or in my morning when I would typically spend scrolling, I spent that time reading instead. So I'm very happy with my goal this year and that I reached it. All right, those were my 2025 bookish reading goals and how I achieved or did not achieve them. So let's get into my 2026 goals. First up, it had to make it back on the list because I failed it so miserably last year. Read 3 nonfiction books. I really, really want to do this because I know there are so many great nonfiction books out there. I don't know. I can't seem to find them. So if you have great nonfiction book recommendations, please comment them down below because I really want to get into nonfiction more. I don't know. I guess I'm bad at picking them because I I find them so slow, but I know there's ones that aren't. So please comment your nonfiction book recommendations below. Next is to donate more books to little free libraries. Absolutely, I will be doing and achieving this one again this year. I just love it so, so, so much. So if you are local, make sure to always check your little free libraries because I'm always going to be filling them up. Next one is very different for me, and it is to read 3 audiobooks. So I typically don't really listen to audiobooks at all, but I really want to because there are so many moments in my day where I could be listening to an audiobook and I just don't for some reason. I do have a hard time focusing and paying attention. Like I'll be listening and then 5 minutes later I'll realize that I was completely zoned out and I have no idea what's going on. But I really want to try and listen to more. I think it will help my reading goal. I think it's just a good thing to do. So we'll see if I can do it. If you have great audiobook recommendations, let me know. I would love to check them out. But yeah, we'll see if I can hit this one. I think this is a fun one because, like I said, I don't typically listen to audiobooks. So we'll see what happens with this one this year. Next is another carryover from last year, but it is to read 10 books from my bookshelf. And so this one has a rule around it. It has to be at least a year old, or I've had it for at least a year. Because I don't want it to be like a brand new book that I put on my shelf. So it has to be a book that I've had for a long time or has been out for a long time. I'm very excited about this one because, like I said, I normally prioritize new releases. And so the books on my shelf that have been there for a long time, they deserve some love too. They're great books. They're equally as great as the new books that are coming out. So very excited to explore more of the books that have been collecting dust for the past many of years. All right, my last goal is my reading goal. And so in 2026, my goal is to read 35 books. So that's up 5 books from 2025. I'm actually a little bit nervous about this. And so 35 to a lot of people is a very low number. But for me, like that's a lot of books. It's reading more than 2 books, maybe even 3 books. Yeah, pretty much 3 books a month, which that's a lot. I go through phases where I don't read for a full week because I'm busy at work and I'm busy doing other things. So we'll see what happens with this. I think it is achievable if I stay consistent the same way that I did this year. And if I'm reading more audiobooks, I think that will help a lot too. But I'm very excited about this one. I'm excited about all of my goals for 2026 and to hopefully have another really great reading year. There are so many great books coming out in 2026. I know I was just talking about reading more books on my bookshelf, but the list of new releases is insane. So stay tuned for that video where I'm going to walk you through all of my most anticipated book releases for 2026 because there are so many great books coming. But those are my goals from 2025 and my goals for 2026. Hopefully, you maybe found a goal that you want to set for yourself, but comment down below what your goals are for the year and happy reading. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, and I'll see you next time.